By the time kindness found me, hope had already packed its bags and slipped quietly out the door. It left without drama, without warning, just a hollow space where belief used to live. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed that morning, staring at the wall where the paint had begun to peel, wondering how a life could feel so loud and yet so empty at the same time. The city outside my window was awake. Cars moved, people laughed, vendors shouted prices into the air. Life continued at a pace that felt cruelly fast, as if the world hadn't noticed that something inside me had stopped. I had lost my job 3 months earlier, my savings had drained faster than I thought possible, and the friends who once promised they'd always be there had slowly faded into polite silence. Even my phone seemed tired of me, no missed calls, no unread messages, just a blank screen reflecting my own exhausted face. I left the apartment because staying felt unbearable. Walking, at least, gave the illusion of movement. I put on an old jacket, the one with a broken zipper, and stepped into the cold air. Every step felt heavier than the last, like the ground itself was resisting me. I didn't have a destination. I just walked. The streets blurred together, shops I couldn't afford, cafes filled with conversations I no longer belonged to, faces that looked past me as if I were already invisible. I passed a park where children played, their laughter slicing through me in ways I didn't expect. Once, I had dreams like that, simple, loud, full of color. Now they felt like stories that belonged to someone else. By noon, hunger made itself known, but I ignored it. I had learned how to silence needs. When you don't have the means to meet them, it's easier to pretend they don't exist. I sat on a bench near a bus stop, watching people come and go. Everyone seemed to know where they were headed. I felt like the only person who had missed the memo on how to keep going. That was when my phone buzzed. For a brief second, hope flickered, stupid, reflexive hope. But it was just a notification from the bank. Low balance. Again. I laughed under my breath, a sound that surprised even me. It came out bitter, broken. I slipped the phone back into my pocket and stared at my hands. They looked older than they should have, lined with worry and disappointment. I don't know how long I sat there before the rain started. It wasn't dramatic, just a slow, steady drizzle that soaked through my jacket and into my skin. People rushed past me, umbrellas opening like shields. I stayed where I was. Getting wet felt appropriate somehow, like the world finally matched how I felt inside. Someone stopped in front of me. At first, I didn't look up. I assumed it was another person waiting for the bus, another stranger with places to be. But then a voice spoke, gentle and unsure. "Are you okay?" I almost said yes out of habit. The word sat on my tongue, ready to escape. But something stopped it. Maybe it was the kindness in the voice, or maybe I was just too tired to lie anymore. I looked up. It was a woman, maybe in her late 40s, holding a small umbrella and a paper bag pressed against her chest. Her coat was plain, her shoes worn. She didn't look rich or powerful or like someone who could fix anything. She just looked human. I shrugged. "I will be," I said, though even I didn't believe it. She hesitated, then sat down beside me on the bench, rain and all. She angled her umbrella so it covered us both, though it meant her shoulder got wet. That small gesture did something to me. It cracked something open. "I come here every day," she said softly. "I like watching people. Everyone carries something, you know." I nodded, unsure what to say. She held out the paper bag. "I was going to eat this on the bus, but I think you need it more than I do." Inside was a simple sandwich and an apple. Nothing fancy. But my stomach tightened at the sight, not just with hunger, but with emotion. I shook my head. "I can't." "You can," she interrupted, smiling gently. "No strings attached. Just food." I took the bag with trembling hands. The first bite felt overwhelming. I hadn't realized how hungry I was, not just for food, but for care. For being noticed. I tried to thank her, but my voice broke, and the words fell apart before they could leave my mouth. She didn't rush me. She just sat there, letting the silence do its work. After a while, she asked, "What happened?" It was such a simple question, but it felt enormous. No one had asked me that in months. I could have given a short answer, something vague and safe. Instead, everything poured out. The job. The bills. The loneliness. The constant fear of waking up every day to the same struggle. I told her about the nights I lay awake wondering if disappearing would hurt less than staying. She listened. Truly listened. She didn't interrupt or offer advice or try to fix me. She just nodded, eyes soft, as if my pain made sense. When I finished, I felt exposed, raw, embarrassed. I waited for her to pull away, for the pity or discomfort to appear. Instead, she said, "I've been there." I looked at her, surprised. "Different story," she continued, "same feeling." There were days I thought Hope had forgotten my address. She smiled faintly. But it didn't. It just came quietly. She reached into her bag again and pulled out a small piece of paper with a phone number written on it. "This is the community center where I volunteer. They help with job searches, meals, sometimes just a place to sit and breathe. You don't have to go today. Or tomorrow. Just, keep it." I took the paper like it was something fragile. The bus arrived then, brakes hissing, doors opening. She stood up, adjusting her coat. "I should go," she said. "But I'm glad I met you." "So am I whispered. She paused, then added, "You matter. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Especially then." And just like that, she was gone, swallowed by the crowd and the rain. I sat there long after the bus pulled away, the paper warm in my hand, the echo of her words lingering in the air. Nothing in my life had magically changed. My problems were still waiting for me. The future was still uncertain. But something inside me had shifted, just slightly. That evening, I went back to my apartment and cleaned the room for the first time in weeks. It wasn't much, but it felt like reclaiming a small piece of control. The next day, I called the number on the paper. My voice shook as I spoke, but no one rushed me off the line. They invited me to come in. One step led to another. A free meal turned into a conversation. A conversation turned into a resume review. Weeks later, a part-time job followed. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Sometimes, I think about that bench and that rainy afternoon. I think about how close I was to giving up, how invisible I felt. And I think about how kindness didn't arrive with fireworks or grand speeches. It came as a shared umbrella, a sandwich, and a stranger who saw me when I couldn't see myself. Hope didn't come back all at once. It crept in slowly, quietly, rebuilding itself piece by piece. And every time I doubt it, every time the world feels too heavy again, I remember this. Even when hope feels gone, kindness can still find you. And sometimes, that is enough to begin again.